Okay, the big bore kit project has actually begun. Now if you need step-by-step instructions on how to take the header pipe out or the body panels off, this is not a project for you. So if you're worried about taking the tank off, that kind of thing, just take it to a shop and have them do the whole thing for you, because this is some serious mechanical stuff we're going to be doing. Thanks, bud. Riker was pointing out the water pipe that I removed, which goes from here to here. But I drained the oil completely out. I put a new filter in here and put the cover back on just because I don't want dirt getting in there. When you drain the coolant, the only thing you need to do is take this bolt out, which is the drain plug actually. There's a little crush washer behind it. And then take the screw out of the radiator cap and take that off, and then all the coolant will come out. So this engine's empty. And I remove this water pipe that goes in between here. And on my bike I have an extra plug here for an oxygen sensor, because you do need an aftermarket fuel controller for this. Either an EJK or they have a specific one for this 305 kit, or I'm running the Dobeck AFR EFI controller. So go ahead and start tearing into the engine now. I've removed the pair valve system on my bike already. If you have not done so, I have a video on how to do that. So I've just got a block off plate here, but to remove this cylinder head cover, you're going to need to remove the pair valve system. And then we are going to remove the spark plug, and then we're going to loosen and remove these two bolts. There's a piece of plastic in the center of this you want to take loose. There we go. Take the gasket out. Next, Riker's going to turn the engine over to top dead center. So Riker, can you take this plug out and then roll it around to top dead center? As you can see, I've already removed the large plug here, and these are a little stuck, so all I did with this one was tapped on it a little bit, and then they're still pretty tight. There we go. Turn that loose. Now if you don't have a screwdriver the right size, what I'd suggest is this one's a little bit tighter fitting than this one, but if you have just an old junk screwdriver, just grind it down until the tip of your screwdriver fits that slot. I've done this on bikes before, so I already had one pre-modified. So now that we have these open, what we need to do is, let me get a flashlight in there. Inside here, there's a little mark right here on this side, that little mark. We need to align the letter T that's stamped into this with that mark. That way we know we're at top dead center. So I'm going to put a wrench on that and roll it around. And there we go. Inside there you can see that letter T with the line, and it's in line with that notch on the right side at about 3 o'clock of that timing hole. That's how we know we're at top dead center. And now we can come up here and we can take the cams out. To remove the cam, first we need to do some work on the cam chain tensioner. So with a 5mm Allen wrench, we're going to remove this plug and the O-ring behind it. You may have noticed I took the clutch cable bracket off for better access. But with a small straight blade screwdriver, turn this in clockwise all the way till it bottoms out, and then use a vice grip. I've just got it up against the throttle body to hold it in position. Now I had those, so that beats buying a $70 tool to do this. First we need to remove this bolt and this bolt with a 10mm. With these out, we can remove the cam chain guide. You can inspect it for wear while it's out. Next we need to take these bolts loose first in a crisscross pattern. So We're gonna go like here and then here and then here, just, you know, opposites, just like you do lug nuts on a car basically, because if you just loosen them 1, 2, 3, 4, you're probably going to bend this part, and it says right in the Honda manual, don't take them apart like that. It says crisscross pattern, so I'm gonna just crack them loose slowly, and you don't, yeah, I'll just do a crisscross pattern. I was gonna say you could just jump around on each individual side, but the more I think about it, if you have load on one side of the cam and not the other, that could warp it. So this is where you lose skin off of your hands, because lots of sharp stuff in here, a lot of torque, not a lot of places to let your hand go. There we go. So now we can take it off. That one's loose. Ah! Yeah, see? That's... yeah, this is what took the skin off. That's nice and sharp. So now the bike is running on blood and sweat. Hopefully it also doesn't run on tears. Just crisscross back and forth, make sure they're all loose. Okay. That one's loose. That one's loose. That one's loose. That one's still got a little bit of tension on it. Okay. We'll come over to this side. Alright, all those are loose. There we go. So all those are loose. So now I'm just going to take these bolts out, and then we'll pull these cams out. What I'm going to do when I pull this out is keep all the bolts in it, so I know what bolt went where. Something that gets a lot of mechanics in trouble every once in a while. You don't pay attention to what bolt came out of where, and one of the bolts will be longer or shorter. The shorter bolt won't reach where it needs to be, which is not as bad as a bolt that's too long, especially when that bolt's going into a blind hole. I personally have put a bolt that was too long into the side case of an engine, and it blew a chunk of aluminum out when it got to the bottom of that blind hole. It blew that chunk of aluminum into the inside of the engine. It then rattled around inside the engine, and it ended up in the oil pump, stopped the oil pump, and believe it or not, first thing to lose oil on an engine is the top end, because it's the farthest thing away from the oil pump. And I ended up messing up basically this piece, but it was on a different Honda, older Honda. So the lesson is be careful where your bolts go. And see, those center bolts are longer. So I'm going to lay these out on the bench just like this and put them back in the holder as I took them out once that cam holder's out. And on this side, now that's just sneaky and evil. It's the opposite way on this side. So on on driver left, the long ones are in the middle, and on driver right, the long ones are on the outside. That is something that could screw you up bad in the future. Okay, there's one. Okay. There's number 2. Something the manual suggests, and it's also something I've learned from old engine mechanics, is you do the cam chain. If you put a piece of wire on it, it's a lot easier to pull back out than if you just let it drop right into the bottom of the crankcase. And you really don't need to use safety pliers for this. I just had them handy to twist that end. But okay, so let's go ahead and pull this cam chain off. Maybe. Pull the exhaust cam out. So there's one cam. They do make cam kits for this engine. I just didn't want to do it this time. I might in the future. The intake cam. And then before I drop this down into the bottom, let's just wrap this wire around a bolt or a bracket real quick, and we won't lose it. So there's cam number 2. Alright, next we're going to take the shims out. To do that, just lift the rocker arm out of the way. Then I'm going to use a magnet. If your magnet's like mine, it's full of metal dust. A little high pressure air will cure that. Make sure I can, okay, just checking the camera there. And make sure that does not fall down into the engine, because that would ruin your day if that fell into the engine. Okay, let's grab the other one. Rocker arm up. Grab that shim. Now later in the video I'm going to be showing how to check that valve clearance, check the shim clearance, but that will be during reassembly. I'm setting these down in a very specific pattern so I know where they came from. I'll show you that just as soon as I get it written down. Something as simple as a little piece of paper will help you keep track of a lot of your parts. My other parts I've just been setting on a blue towel. These all need to be cleaned before they go back in anyway, but notice the bolts are back in the correct position for where they need to go in. Left side, long bolts in the center. Right side, long bolts on the outside. Down in here, you can see one of them. Right here is one, and then right here is the other. Yeah, you can see both of those. 10mm socket. Take these two out. Okay, and then with a 14mm socket, the right side there, they are bolts. And the left side over here, they are nuts and washers. I'm probably gonna have to get in. This is very difficult to show without getting in the way. Ooh, that's on there tight. Bigger tools. Okay, I apologize for the camera angle, but this had a lot of torque on it. The bolts just popped right loose, but these are taking more effort than I would think would be necessary. I did not read what the torque spec is on these specific fasteners, but they're in there pretty solid. I actually had to brace the bike against the way I'm pulling, so I didn't pull the bike over. those noises make me uncomfortable. Okay, there it is. We also have a nut and a washer here. And we should move the wires there. And the other one is right here. That's everything loosened up. Now I hope you didn't lose your magnet, because you're going to need it again. Because if these fall down into the engine, you're going to have a bad day. And you can actually use a magnet once these are loose to take them the rest of the way out. Because I'm just slowly spinning this bolt around with the magnet, and then using the magnet to pull it out. Now again, I'm going to make sure these go back in the exact same spot. Okay, there's two. I'm going to take the nuts and washers out. So there's a nut, the washer, there's the other nut, and the last washer. Grab our magnet, spin. Oh, don't do that to me. Pull that, and then that washer that tried to come up with it and I dropped into the bottom of the crankcase. That would have been a bad time. Okay, I'm doing the same thing. Okay. Making sure that the washer is not coming up with the nut this time. There's one. There's our washer. Alright, at this point, our cam chain tension release tool needs to come out. And then we're also going to have to unplug this, and we're going to have to take the throttle body off, which I believe is on the other side. If you haven't done gas tank and pair valve modifications, you're going to need to also do this. On my bike, I've already removed this hose and I've just got it capped off here. This would be a good time for me to put a better cap on, because all I had at the time was a stainless steel machine screw that I put in there with some silicone. I didn't have a vacuum cap. Now is the time to get a vacuum cap for that. But let's see here. You're also going to have to unplug your oxygen sensor, your factory oxygen sensor. Again, mine is unplugged because my AFR Plus system I'm running. Take this hose off. What else are we going to need to do? That should be it. Again, the exhaust was off earlier in the video, so we've got, for the throttle body, we've got these two screws here. And honestly, I just use regular Phillips screwdriver, which I know isn't right, because a lot of these motorcycles use JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard. So a Phillips is actually the wrong tool. I do not have any JIS screwdrivers anymore. I loaned them out and they disappeared, so I just do it with a Phillips. So yes, that's all we need to do. And now when you take this off, you can tap it lightly, but I would suggest just using your palm and just, you know, bumping it. You don't want to get wild and hit it too hard, because you could screw up these mating surfaces, and you could potentially just hammer a piece off of the casting, and then you're going to need a new head. So be gentle but firm when you take this off. Okay, on the bottom of this, right here where my finger is, there's a little tab. Push up on that, pull back. That's hard for you to see. It's hard for me to do while holding the camera, but I'm going to take the throttle body off. Just going to loosen these two screws that I showed you earlier. Make sure you're on it nice and square. Oh, shit. Don't do what I just did. Nice and square. Push down with one hand. Quick snapping motion. I am going to try and just leave it like this. Pull the head off to the side. Alright, the next problem I'm running into, which I knew there would be many. If we look right down here, when I pick this head up, this exhaust stud is hitting on the frame. Now if you'd remove the engine like Honda asked you to in the service manual, that wouldn't be an issue. So I'm going to need to remove this. I'm going to have to find 2 metric nuts that fit that, and then I'll show you the procedure for removing it. I put 2 nuts on there, and then I tightened them against each other. And now all I have to do, like it's easy, usually exhaust studs are one of the most miserable things to remove on an automobile. Put this on here. See, I broke that one loose and not both of them. So I'm basically just going to retighten them together, and I want them as close to the engine as possible, because if you have them way out on the end, it's probably going to break the exhaust stud off. So I'm going to tighten them against each other again and keep trying until I get it out. Now another thing you can do is take like a rubber tipped hammer and pop it just a couple times real quick, and then try it again. And if that fails, usually you can put a little heat here, just a little handheld torch, and then it'll come out. So yeah, let's try that. So I got lucky, and the second time I put these nuts together, it started turning the exhaust stud out. Alrighty then, let's try again. Okay, throttle body's coming off. Radiator hose in the way. I've got a finger on the cam chain in the gap between the head and the cylinder. I'm going to pull the cam chain down. Pull my wire out. Wrap it around something down here. Okay. Oh, come on. I am so close. I'm so far away. I'm hitting on the radiator. So now the radiator's got to come off. If you look at my Flatlands Racing radiator guard installation video, you can see how that radiator's mounted. It's just 2 bolts with a 10mm socket. They're mounted to the frame neck, so I'm getting impatient. Can you tell? Okay, it's coming off this time, I hope. Tie the cam chain back up before I lose it. Might want to grab some stainless steel safety wire for this project. It will be your friend. Okay. Okay, so right now I'm caught on the dowels underneath the engine. There's these dowel pins. Those are what are screwing me up right now, because these two, this one and that front left one, are clear. It's just these ones inside these dowels are caught. What I'm doing now is very carefully wiggling these dowels loose with the pliers. Which I'll probably have to clean them up a little bit when I'm done, but that's alright, they gotta come out. Careful not to break your cam chain guides. I knocked mine loose. That's these plastic guys here. But there is our cylinder head. If we look down in the intake, it looks like it could definitely use a little bit of polishing. So those two rough spots right there where it splits side to side, and we got that big ugly casting mark down the left there. But that's not what we're doing today. Someday I might get the head reworked, but just something I noticed. Okay, a few last minute things for this video. This chain guide just sits in the bottom, so we can pull that out. This one I'm not sure, so I'm going to leave that one in. And we can go ahead and take this gasket off. Really hard working with one hand. We can take those down. We can take those dowels off that I forgot about, that I just launched one of. So there's that dowel. I got to grab the other one. We're down to the cylinder, which is the part that's going to be replaced. This is where we're going to end this video for the big bore kit series. We're down to the actual cylinder, which is what we've been trying to get at this whole time. So the next episode, obviously, we're going to pull the cylinder off, and we are going to put the new one on and start rebuilding this thing.